from the same developer of the Shadow Legend VR. But first of all, we've got here a new game called the Arcane Age. This is also a VR exclusive action adventure, a tad inspired by the Avatar, set in a terraformed fantasy world created by a grand mage that's been facing a natural disaster or corruption for ages. Kinda like our world's premise, except, here's a trailer. This game is coming to PC and the PlayStation VR 2 early next year.
My dearest Madeline, by now you will have learned that my ship, the HMS Amathea, did not reach its destination.
Coming up behind that, we've got an island survival sandbox with a premise a lot inspired by the Castaway movie going by the name Bootstrap Island. It's actually a roguelike VR in which the protagonist's just been shipwrecked on an island with a volcanic eruption to worry about occasionally. Think just Dying Light, but there's also the permadeath stuff. Anyway, this game is coming to the PCVR headsets on the first few months of 2024.
Darkness swarms with devils ready to claim my mortal soul. I write this letter with a humble plea, should you ever receive this. I want you to forget about me. I wish you a full and happy life. You shall forever be imprinted in my heart of hearts.
Round one. Fight!
Coming from the makers of Synth Riders, the rhythm game. At number 3 we have a VR fighting game here, something I believe never put to the test before, because it almost makes no sense. We've got here Final Fury. It's actually a science fiction or cyberpunk style fighting game. We have to fight the galaxy's most formidable warriors, kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy. This game will be coming to the PC VR and the MetaQuest and will support a single and also a co-op play.
Final Fury.
機械政府が東京を廃墟に変えた。中枢である人工知能アダムはもともと真の世界平和を目的に作られた。
Third Verse just came out with the first gameplay trailer on their new game, Soul Covenant. It's a virtual reality, of course, tactical action hack and slasher that takes place in a near future, desolate Japan, where humanity engages in a fierce battle against the machines. Soul Covenant is due out for the PlayStation VR 2, PCs via Steam, and also the Quest 2 in early 2024 worldwide. Here's the trailer.
私のいないところで死んだら殺すからね。
次が最後の命令だ。生き残りなさい。
Coming up behind that, from the same studio who previously worked on Little Witch Academia VR, we've got over here Attack on Titan VR, Unbreakable, that was announced last summer as a VR adaptation of the manga and apparently releasing in the winter of 2024 now. It's been delayed. For MetaQuest 2 Pro and also the MetaQuest 3. It's a single player and also co-op multiplayer hunting action game, kind of like in the same style of the Monster Hunter World, just a bit more anime.
There is no victory to be had here. There is only survival.
Primarily a VR game from a few months ago, a totally brand new one over here. Previously it was just Behemoth, now it's Skydance's Behemoth, maybe for marketing purposes. Anyway, what we've got over here is actually from the same developers of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners that was released. Behemoth is touted as a single-player story-driven RPG that forces you to fight towering giants called behemoths. Just like the Shadow of Colossus, I guess. This game is coming to the PlayStation VR and the PlayStation VR 2 sometime next year.
It will take your mind. I have found no meaning to this struggle. But when the end comes for you, do not yield.
Announced earlier in the year, re-revealed just last week in case you missed it. At number 7 we've got over here The Burst, described as a smashing high-speed VR shooter. We play as a spec ops operative to bring down a tyrannical warband leader and a goons. Go ahead and hop in for the fun on Steam to a demo to restore order on a prison planet the best way you can, with violence of course. The full game is set to be coming out in the second quarter of 2024.
Awaiting has finally come.
Sitting on Steam through early access for 4 months now. At number 8 we've got a single-player science fiction adventure VR here called War of Being. Recommended for the fans of the Tesseract, the dice manipulation game. War of Being is coming out fully early to mid next year, so keep it in mind. Coming to the PlayStation VR 2 this time by the end of 2024. At number 9 we have something called Mannequin. Mannequin is an asymmetrical multiplayer game for up to 5 players, filled with suspense, social deduction, and fast sudden actions, in which you play as alien mannequins and have to set up deadly ambushes by posing as humans frozen in time. Or as human agents and real some high-tech gadgets as you can see. Here's a trailer. The game is coming to PlayStation VR headsets and also Oculus Quest.
the world? This is gonna be a blast.
Inspired by the time crisis, on the cover over here is a return to the golden age of the light gun games that takes the game thrilling arcade action, those games that delivered, and uses the power of VR. Basically, featuring a full 5 to 6 hours of campaign that you can tackle solo or in a buddy co-op mode with an online friend or AI. On the cover is on its way to Meta Quest on February 15 next year.
What have we here?
Pitchforks! Now!
On your feet, soldier! Enchanté.
The sky gets darker every day. We can barely see the light. So many miles.
Available through a demo and Steam for over a year now, coming to the PlayStation VR 2, in case you missed it, and we've got here God of Rifts, a battle for the Metalverse. It's a rhythm heavy metal virtual reality game. It's a lot like the Beat Saber, but just heavier on the soundtracks. The graphics are pretty awesome too. It's heart pounding and it's in VR. This game is coming to the PlayStation VR headsets and the Meta Quest early next year. And last but not least, we've got Escape Simulator VR coming from the same developers who came up with the original Escape Sim game a couple years back. It's a first-person co-op puzzle adventure that is setting on Steam with overwhelmingly positive scores. It's a pretty decent puzzle game for those of you with not even a slight interest in puzzle games, and both veterans just the same, and now in VR with much more quality of life improvements. Check it out, the game is coming out to PCVR sometime next year.